And so here we are. Here we are talking about the number one factor in your entrepreneurial success. The number one factor, not number two.
Number one. Nope.
Not number three.
Uno.
Not number four.
Nope.
Number one.
Number one.
Yeah. So, yeah. So let's talk about this. The number one factor, let me get a little agenda up on the screen here. Hopefully people can hear, see. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. We're doing like the headphone thing. This could be a silent movie for all we know.
It could. It could. They could. They might not be able to hear us, but maybe we can hear. Nope, can't hear them.
Can't hear them. Can't hear them. So the number one factor in your entrepreneurial success, you think
many of the people on the live today have one.
That's
they
right.
already have this. They already have it, David. They already have it.
They do. So people are typing in comments here like, are you on? Oh, we can. Oh, Joe, thank you. So Joe has one. Joe Serio is here. Joe totally has one. We're not going to keep people in any more suspense. It is the spouse, the significant other, the person in your life who matters the most is supporting your business. Person who is most important in your life is supporting your business, or he or she is not. Or he or she is not. So, let's see, we're getting some fabulous comments coming in here. Sam's here. Sam gives us a thumbs up.
Hi, Sam.
And Joe is saying that his beautiful and amazing wife supports him big time. And then Ty says, hey, you two, love seeing the two of you together.
We love seeing you, Ty. We need to have lunch soon, girlie. It's been a while.
There you go. And Susan says that the live video is paused. Hopefully it's not. If you paused it or if you clicked away, maybe it's paused for you. We're still alive. We're still moving. Things are still happening. So hopefully you'll get that squared away. And Billy's here. Billy Arsamont is here.
Know.
Totally fantastic.
Billy is
really, really good.
To see you again, Billy.
Heather says so true. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the number one factor in your success is does your support spouse your business? Does your support spouse your business? Because if he doesn't, your spouse will be upset. No. Does your spouse support your business? Because you know what? If the answer is yes, everything is easier. So, Teresa, I know this is not your first rodeo as an entrepreneur. Talk about when your amazing hubby was supporting your business and how that made things a whole heck of a lot easier.
Oh, I didn't have to hear it at night over dinner about what did I do today and what's going to happen and where is this going to come from and how are we the fear left the dinner table is what happened. And, you know, it's never that, I know that this is true for many of our clients. It's not that the spouse doesn't believe in the potential. They just don't see the reality in right now and they get a little anxious. So they start to ask lots of questions. And then as a spouse on the receiving end, we feel attacked, questioned, judged, whatever those words are. And it just when there's not support, there tends to be a lot of conflict in the household, if you will. So needless to say, when that support is in place, there's just an empowerment that comes from that gives you the permission to really live up to that potential that you know you've got inside. Yeah.
I mean, basically, if you have it, everything is easier, right? It's still not easy, but everything is easier.
Right.
And to your point, if you don't have it, you're dead in the water. You're not even going to get out of the gate. It's going to cause stress. It's going to cause conflict. It's going to cause, I mean, there's a mismatch of values, and we'll talk about kind of the day job, quote unquote, real job thing here in a moment. But there's all kinds of fear, uncertainty, doubt, concern, even kind of a reality check, right? Where you have one person who might not have the entrepreneurial DNA, and then they are married to this person who's taking all this risk and
That's me.
going out on their own and you know, going into battle basically. And you might think, well, gosh, you know, the spouse is thinking, I would never do that in a million years. Like, what planet are you from? And this might be the first really major values shift or values difference, big, that you have in your marriage. Okay, we both want kids. We both don't want kids. We both like to live in the city. We both like to live in the suburbs. Hang on. Imagine if one of you said, I'm going to totally live in the middle of New York City, and the other spouse said, no, 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 we're going to have a farm in Kansas, and we're totally having the farm in Kansas. It's almost like that, except luckily there's no geographic distance. But that's the kind of values disconnect that causes all kinds of problems. So let's break this down. First factor, and you already mentioned it, risk. Let's talk about risk. Flavor for risk, taste for risk, risk aversion. What's risky about your entrepreneurial or speaking or consulting or coaching business that your other half might not really understand? What do you think?
You know what's interesting about what's interesting about risk is we oftentimes have a false sense of security that somehow having a job, having an 8 to 5, having a clock to punch somehow is safer, more of a sure thing. But really, if you really evaluate it, it isn't any more sure than going out on your own. You just have a place to go every day that serves that instant gratification. I'm doing something and getting something immediately, but it could go away tomorrow. The company could close. The boss could fire you. You could decide you don't want it anymore. So is there really any more risk? There's calculated risk, hopefully. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, we actually have more control over that than we do when we're at someone else's beck and call as an employee. And that's oftentimes, and again, this is something that my husband and I have had quite a few conversations around, because he can punch a clock, that seems like it's a sure thing. But this last year, experienced something that it wasn't a sure thing all of a sudden. So, those things can happen. And at least when I'm in my own driver's seat of my own business, my activity, my actions, and the decisions I make are far more proactive in my favor. So risk is a funny thing because I don't know if it's as high as sometimes we think it is. That's what I would have to say.
Well, and you know what? Let me tell you something. I mean, this is such a huge light bulb moment, even as we're talking about this. Risk is, well, you don't know what you're going to get, right? Risk is like literally rolling the dice. It's like you're gambling. Well, if your business is generating results, right, and you're running the one-arm bandit and the cash is coming out, guess what? There's no risk. You're winning. You're winning that game.
Right.
Either when you're putting money in and like nothing's happening, or you keep on doing the arm and no jackpot, no payday, no money, right? So you're in it, but you're not winning it. That's not risk. That's stupid. So I would almost blame the entrepreneur, right? He or she is not making it happen. The spouse is actually giving you the benefit of the doubt, going, well, it's kind of risky because it might work, it might not. Dude, you're not making it happen. So again, we're not here to point fingers. We're not here to blame. But I'm looking back on my entrepreneurial career, and when I wasn't bringing in the dough, it wasn't like, yeah, this is risky. Gosh, it's like, no, dude, either you're not doing the work, or you're not doing the work in the right way, or you're not doing the work for the right people, or you're not charging money, or you're not getting in the game, you're not marketing, you're not selling, you're not having the right conversations. If you do this business the right way, and I'm talking about the speaking, coaching, consulting, training, expert business that most of the folks watching are in, if you're doing it the right way, the results mitigate the risk. There's your soundbite on this one.
There we go.
The results mitigate the risk, or actually the results even disprove the risk, right? It's like either it's working or it's not. It's pretty much black and white, binary. The switch is either on or off. So let's talk about the related concept. We have 9 of these coming up, guys. We got 9 things to share with you about this today because it's so important to get the spousal support. Let's talk about fear. And risk and fear are sort of connected. But Teresa, how does fear show up typically? Fear
shows up in a lot of different ways. Fear, am I up to the job? Am I going going to be able to do the work that you were just talking about? Am I going to be able to discern what needs to be done? Am I going to know where to go? Do I know enough? Do I have what it takes from a confidence standpoint? Fear of, what if it doesn't work out? What if I do this and I work so hard and I grind and I do all the right things, or so I think I'm doing the right things. What if it doesn't work out? What then? Where am I left? I've lost time. I've lost a fear of loss of credibility, fear of loss of substantial regard in the market or at home. Quite honestly, if you've tried this over and over and your spouse has seen you do this over and over, what will he think? What's good? What am I? And we're going to talk about that too, as far as, trying it. What if it doesn't work out? What if it does work out? But I think fear comes from a lot of different places, and it manifests in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's lack of action. We just don't take any action because we're afraid. Or sometimes we take the wrong actions because we're trying to compensate for what we think should be done. So if we're doing something, that must be better than nothing. And so it's crazy how fear makes us react and act. It's a meddling little booger, I tell you.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think if it's two entrepreneurs or two speakers or two coaches or two consultants that are in some sort of domestic relationship, this fear is probably less because each knows what the other is up against and they sort of get it. I'm amazed actually among my entrepreneurial friends and even among our client base, very few times is an entrepreneur married to another entrepreneur. Either they're in the business together, which is, that's cool, but it's not like, oh yeah, I'm running this coaching business and you're running a bakery. You don't get that. It's like one person has a quote unquote stable job. And I love the way that you just kind of smash that preconceived notion, because there is no such thing as a stable job. You can get laid off or fired tomorrow. One person has the stable job and the other person is, the risky entrepreneur. That's scary. That's where the fear comes in. Now, what you do find a lot is two corporate people married, right? Or in a relationship or in a significant other type of domestic situation, because that's sort of the norm. I mean, let's face it, we're freaks. Can we just say that? Can we say this out loud?
We're freaks.
That if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a coach, a consultant, a speaker, a trainer, an information marketer, an online course person, you're a freak. You're a freak of nature. You're like a freaky, freaky, freaky dude. So like Robert Stack is here. Robert's a freak. Robert's a freak in the best possible sense of the term. Carla's here. Carla's a freak. We all know that Susan's a freak. Look, Susan put this huge comment that's covering up both our faces. Look at this.
Oh, look at there.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. So obviously only a freak would write that kind of comment that covers up both of our faces. So yeah, you need to understand that to do what we're doing, to do what you guys are doing, takes a very special kind of person. Part of that's overcoming the fear, but then the question is, okay, how do I get my spouse or my significant other as comfortable with this risk and with this fear as I am, right? So sometimes we talk about fearless. Right. You got to be fearless. You got to build up your courage. You got to be courageous in this business. Now, let's also talk about, here's the real thing. Now it's going to get fun. Now it's going to get fun. Because early on, your spouse might have been very supportive. Early on, it's like, yeah, honey, you go do it. You can do anything that you set your mind to. It's like when our parents tell us, like, you can grow up to be anything you want. You can be president of the United States. You can be the Queen of England. You can be whatever you want to do. Then you're in it for 6 months or a year or a couple of years or even 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And if it's not working and it's not quite dialed in, now here's the picture of your spouse. This is it. It's this gesture here. I'm not sure that you're cut out for this, honey. I'm not sure that you can do it. Are you sure that you want to be doing this? So let's talk about that, because now we're starting to threaten our ego. We're starting to threaten our sense of competence. We're starting to threaten our sense of capability. What can that do to a relationship?
Oh, it's just, so I had a business crash and fail. Lifetime entrepreneur right here, had a business crash and fail. And when it came time to do the next one, my husband said, excuse me, wait a minute. It didn't work out so good last time. We're going to go through that again. And so it's that defense mechanism on a daily basis of justifying what you're doing, how you're doing it, where you're going. Don't worry, honey, it's coming. Don't worry, honey, it's coming. And, you know, supportive spouses just kind of turn their head for the short term and go, okay, and this is what my amazing husband has done time and time again. You do your work, just keep me updated, a few check-ins, and then he's looking for evidence of success, and those things come, and then he's back on board. And then it crashes and fails again, or something changes, and he's back on that roller coaster. So, you know, a relationship on the daily can get to be a bit tedious when you're trying to justify that. But the one thing that has worked for me has been to always keep him in the loop on where I'm going. What's my plans? What's the next step? This is what I'm working on. And just being clear about that and showing him really all that success, those little wins that are coming along the way. You know, I got 3 coins out the bottom of the you know, that thing.
Yes.
that slot machine. Yes.
Slot machine.
Look, honey, I got 4 coins today, but I'm working on 400.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and apparently Kevin Hackenberg is here. Great to see you, buddy. And he says, you know, what happens when your spouse starts to doubt your capability and goes back to the can you do it? Can you do it? What happens? Freak out.
Freak out. There's a song.
Out. Little old school disco. So here's an entrepreneurial tip. I was talking to my friend Jess Toddfeld about this. This was about 6 years ago. And my business was doing okay, not great, about 6 years ago. And Jess was about in the same boat. So we were, you know, head above water, but just nah. So he says to me, yeah, my wife is just totally freaking out. I said, yeah, mine too. And we're having this conversation. Why were our spouses freaking out? Oversharing. We as entrepreneurs were oversharing, right? Because we have this kind of, we have awesome days where we're geniuses, and we have horrible days where we're like the stupidest, worst person in the world. So, hey, honey, how was your day? Oh my God, it was awful. I blew 5 sales. I totally, you know, the accountant called. We're out of money. The tax bill is due. This is where discretion is the better part of valor. I said, so here I am giving this advice to my friend Jess Toddfeld. I said, listen, Jess, what if we only shared about 60 to 70%? Yeah, share most of the good stuff and really probably not a lot of the bad stuff.
Or downplay the bad stuff.
You know, put the bad stuff in context. As soon as I started doing that, right, 2 great things started to happen. Number one, when we stop buying into the drama and when we stop buying into the story, number one, it actually does get better. And then when you cut off the access to complain out loud about all the things that might not be going your way, you start to de-emphasize that, right? Because of course you, what's the saying that you get more of what you focus on, right? You get more of what you focus on. So if you intentionally with your spouse focus on the positive, then of course your mindset is more focused on the positive, and you're much more likely to get more of the positive, even on your own, whether you're married, single, divorced, doesn't matter, right? Focus on the positive. But then what I noticed is oversharing or over-involving my spouse in my business, and she's not involved in my business at all in any way, shape, or form, other than being my life partner and the mother of my children, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't fair to her to dump all this, oh my God, this isn't working. Oh my God, I got to figure this out. Oh my God, honey, this is so hard. And when I stopped doing that, she stopped asking this question, right? She stopped asking, well, do you have your act together? Can you really make a go of this? What's really going on? And then, so of course, by me doing that, the other part of the beneficial cycle is that the support then was more forthcoming. When I stopped complaining and I stopped kvetching and I stopped oversharing. I think a lot of entrepreneurs overshare the negatives and do not share enough of the positives in their business.
Totally agree.
And Carla's saying, no drama, law of attraction. I'm not even sure if it's law of attraction necessarily, but certainly it's no drama, and it's the law of what you focus on expands, right? Maybe that is part of the law of attraction, but you know, I believe in the law of doing a crap ton of hard work and then the law of offer massive value to your clients and the law of have amazing, fabulous results and outcomes from your clients and from your work. That's the laws I believe in. That's the laws we believe in. But yeah, part of that is you get more of what you focus on. Speaking of which, little short commercial break. If people are watching this and they want to book a call with our fantastic, amazing team of coaches, they can go to doitmarketing.com/apply. And that's for a deep dive diagnostic conversation about your business and specifically about the risk, the fear, what your spouse thinks is going on in your business, what's really going on in your business, how to fix what's going on in your business as a speaker, as a coach, as a consultant, as a trainer, as a thought leading expert, what we call people who are entrepreneurs of their expertise. So, and we've got a whole lot more stuff to share with you as well. But I just wanted to put that little commercial break in there if you did want to book a call with the team so we can help you. Number four, and I've had this question a lot. If you invest in your business and you invest in coaches and mentors and guidance and information products, and you go to these retreats and these weekends and all this great stuff, at some point you're going to get this question, honey, why are you spending more money and what's going to be different this time? What's going to be different this time? So Teresa, what's a good answer for what's going to be different this time?
I don't know if it's the only answer. It's the answer that's worked for me. And that is because I have so much knowledge from every other time, I'm going to apply that plus the new stuff. And I've got the secret formula now. So, you know, really it is though a culmination of what have I done and what have I learned from these mistakes from last time. I had to make those. Some of those mistakes had to be made in order for me to have the perspective and the clarity that I have now to go into this new endeavor, where whatever that new information or those new insights that I'm going to explore, I couldn't see them the same way had I not been through this other thing over here. And so really, you know, I've had to let my husband know, look, this is how I'm going to apply what didn't work. This is what I did wrong. I understand it. And I'm going to go in with eyes wide open about how I can leverage that for success the next time. It's different because I'm a different person. That's been my answer.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious for the folks watching, have you had to answer this question? When you're about to either take a turn in your business or invest in some coaching or some boot camp or go to some conference like Teresa was saying, honey, why are you spending money? You know this didn't work last time. What is going to be different this time? What is going to be different this time? And Joe has a great comment here. He says, my wife would want to hear the details of the secret formula and will jump right in the middle to be a compliance manager. I love that. So listen,
I love that.
I love the fact that you're going to go, but you're going to take notes. You're going to come back with an action plan. We're going to do some things differently.
That's right.
We're not going to let you just consume more information or consume more coaching and sit on it. I love that.
That's right.
I think every one of our clients needs a compliance manager. We
I
need
agree.
to do that. We need to do that. We're just doing everyone now, thanks to Joe Serio, everyone now gets a compliance manager in our mentoring program. And some butt kicking and some application enforcement. It's going to be the enforcement patrol. Because, and here's the other thing, by the way. Not only is it about enforcement and application and compliance, and then Joe also says we have to check in with each other every week, not every week, not every other week.
I love that.
You know what's different this time? What's different this time is you. So if you did a program, I invested in something 4 years ago, but I wasn't ready. I invested in something 2 years ago, but I didn't know what I know today. I invested in something last year, but you know what? I didn't do the work. So all those growth experiences and just you evolving as an entrepreneur and you evolving as a business person, sometimes the best answer to what's going to be different this time, honey, is I'm different this time. Right? My mindset is different this time. My urgency is different this time, right? My level of commitment is different this time. And hopefully that's not just smoke and mirrors. That's not just talk. That's actually real. That's actually real. And Joe is saying, you're welcome. I'll check my mailbox for the commission checks. Well, you're very welcome. So you're doing fantastic. So Joe is keeping me updated constantly. He's like, just got another gig for 10 grand. Just got another gig for 7,500. Just booked $33,000 in the last 3 weeks. Just got another gig for 6,000. So Joe is on top of it every single day, every single week. And I love results like Joe is getting and that Joe is making happen. All right, now this is going to get more and more painful as we go on, guys. I hate to tell you this. You ready for number 5? Number 5.
Oh.
Maybe you want to keep this as a hobby. Maybe you want to keep this as a hobby. You know what? I think you better get a job. And I know you like being a speaker. You like being a coach. You like having your little client friends. Maybe keep that as a hobby. Keep that as a hobby, Teresa. What do you say to that? What do you say to that? Yeah, no.
You know what?
Yeah, no.
No. Thank goodness my husband has never given me that ultimatum. He's given me just about all the rest of them we're talking about today, but that one is not one that I'm experienced with. But I will say, it really is it's an opportunity for us as speakers and messengers and those of us who have, we don't want to let our stories die inside of us. We've got lessons for the world, and we need to be committed to that. And I think when you're challenged to say, oh, just keep this as a hobby, I think it's really, really important to take a second look and say, am I dedicated? Am I committed to this? Is this really, truly the thing that I want to do? And again, you have to be committed to it, or it's not going to come to fruition. It's definitely not going to pay you as a full-time job or career. But again, I think it's an opportunity. I mean, if my husband were to propose this to me, good thing he doesn't, I would absolutely have to take a second look and say, is it a hobby? Or am I really committed to doing the necessary work to make this my career? Am I really ready to take this as a passion and get paid for that which that I am so passionate for? So, and again, what am I passionate about? Am I passionate about helping people? I can do that as a hobby. I'm more passionate about getting a paycheck and thriving financially, and while at the same time getting to do what I love to do. So again, creating a career for myself based on something I love to do is a much better scenario for me.
Yeah, and this also reminds me about, as much as we love speaking, or we love our audiences, or we love being on stage, or we love coaching and we love consulting, and that's where we get our jollies, and that's what kind of gets us excited and gets us out of bed in the morning. Connie Podesta said it best. You can be a great speaker. You can love speaking. You can be a great coach and you can love coaching. You can be a great consultant and you can love consulting. But you know what you have to love? You have to love closing the sale more than you love life itself. That was her quote. You have to love closing the sale more than you love life itself. Because if you don't do what you have to do, AKA closing the sale, you're never going to get to do what you want to do, which is
that's right.
The stuff that we do for fun, known as keynotes, seminars, workshops, coaching, consulting, training classes, online programs. All that stuff is fantastic fun. If you can't sell it, market, and monetize it, you're dead. You're dead. Now, so you're dead, your bank account's empty, and the spouse is saying, honey, maybe keep this as a hobby, right? It's not about the hobby is the work, unfortunately, that you're probably great at the work. The hobby part is you're not professionalizing this. What's the difference between a professional speaker and a speaker? Professional speaker, the word professional means I do this for a living. I get paid to do this.
Paid. That's right.
Professional coach, I get paid to coach. I don't do 17,000 hours of free coaching because I'm in some ICF certification program that says, oh, by the way, all coaches should be broke and you should do 1,000 hours of free coaching before you make a single dime, which to me is professional malpractice by that professional association. All you ICF members, you're welcome to send me hate mail. That's fantastic. We're running a 7-figure business. I don't know many other coaches that are running a 7-figure business because you feel you have to do it for free out of the kindness of your heart, or that you feel you're not ready, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not worthy until you've done 1,000 hours of free coaching. And then somehow magically at like hour 1,000, minute number 1, you suddenly become worthy. Like there's a worthy bell that goes off like ding. Okay, no longer a hobbyist. Now you're a professional. You decide to go professional the second you decide I am a professional.
That's right. So, preach it. That is so right. It is so right.
You got to stop treating this like an expensive hobby. You got to totally stop treating this like an expensive hobby. All right. So number 6, and we've touched on this a little bit, but I want to go back to this. Oh my gosh, honey, you've invested in crap before. You've invested. Remember that boot camp 3 years ago? Remember that $10,000 retreat weekend that was going to be the be all end all? Remember that, you know, super duper $25,000 coaching program that you signed up for? Where's the results from that? You've invested in crap before. That didn't work. Why do you think that this next investment or this next initiative or this next new topic or this next new niche is going to be any different for you this time? And Sarah Ross is here.
Hey, Sarah.
Just quick announcement. Sarah Ross is in the house. Just had to get that out.
She's an awesome one-some. Just saying.
That's right.
You know, and I'll go back to what I said earlier. You know, again, I think it has everything to do with the communication process that you use to say, look, this is what I got last time. This is what I'm going to leverage next time. You know, this whole, you've invested in crap before. Where's the results? Again, it's, I'm different. This is, you know, and this is where I'm going to go with this now. And the other thing I wanted to mention earlier also, sometimes I've had to say, well, you know what, honey, this is what I need from you. And Stephen is bringing up a really good point about running the household and doing what needs to be done. And I think Susan said something earlier in a comment about, you know, when you work from home, and we're going to touch on this a little bit too, about when you work from home office, somehow you're supposed to be able to clean the house, cook for the kids, and do everything just because you're home. And then again, with that 9 to 5 kind of situation where you're running a business, but happen to be more available than they are being encumbered by a job, there's just a miss there. And so when we have this communication process, sometimes what's going to be different this time, I'm going to invest this money, and here's how I need you to help me be accountable. Here's what I need from you. Oh, we're letting Woofie in.
It's all good. I lost track.
Yeah, this is what I need from. Oh, got it. So this is what I need from you. So it isn't just up to me, my lovely spouse, to make this different. Here's how you can help me make this different, and really get them on board as a part of the process, not just an observer from the outside. Because it's really easy to watch someone and go, well, what are you doing? Like, what's keeping you busy all day? Hey, you know what? Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's be in it together. So what's going to be different? Earlier it was just me. Now I'm saying we're going to be different.
Right. Absolutely right. Well, and if you want to figure out exactly what you need to be doing differently or could be doing differently to improve your situation, another short commercial break, then we'll come back and we'll do 7, 8, and 9. We've got some time, I think, later on this afternoon and even into tomorrow for some speaker strategy sessions with our team. And that is available to you at doitmarketing.com/apply. You know, the spouse thing, it's so funny because when we talk to people on the phone on these strategy sessions, this often comes up. That, hey, you know, not quite sure what my spouse will think. Not quite sure if this is the right time for me. Here's the deal. When I started making gobs and gobs and gobs of money, and Teresa, when you started making gobs and gobs and gobs of money because you were finally connected with the right product and the right service and the right audience and the right investable opportunities, did Terry complain to you like, honey, you're bringing in too much dough? Honey, I don't want you having these $6,000 and $7,000 and $8,000 weeks. I don't want you having these $20,000, $30,000 months. That's really bothersome to me. Was he was kind of pissed off that you were making all this money, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's not true at all. You know, but a really fun conversation to have was, you know, after all of these roller coaster rides throughout the last 25 years, by the way, end of May, we are celebrating 25 years together. So he has been on this roller coaster for a while and always supportive, not always easy to get along with, but always supportive in the end. It was a very satisfying conversation to have, to turn around and go, see, this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been trying to show you. And now you see it for real. And it's tangible in the bank account. It's tangible in my activity. You can see me leaving and going and coming and doing all that I do. And so it was very, very satisfying to be able to, and not just from a pride standpoint, not from a, haha, I proved you wrong standpoint. There was a little of that, let's be honest. But the biggest thing was we got to open up the vision a little bit more and really start diving into what's next. And that was fun. And again, really looking at bringing him into that vision as a part of, it's not just my business, it's our business, because it benefits both of us. And I got even more support. I got even more buy-in. I got even, and then it wasn't because of the results, but it was because now he could see it for himself. Right. And he could start to imagine it more tangibly for the future. So that was an awesome conversation to have, and we're going to have many more because we're not done. Right, right. Well, and I want to tell a client success story here also, without betraying any confidence. We'll just use first names. But I remember Drew came into our program, and that, of course, we invited him in after the strategy call, after we kind of figured out could we help him, and was he in a position to take the help and monetize the help and really go big with this. And we decided yes, and he decided yes, and that was fantastic. He was on, talking about spouse, he was on the verge of a very, very serious conversation with his spouse. Talk about the circumstances around that while people are going to doitmarketing.com/apply. Yeah, you know, about 4 hours prior to getting on the call with me, there was a very tense, real conversation between he and his spouse about what's going to be different, what's going to be different this time. And that wasn't necessarily about what we were talking about at the moment. It was all the other things he had been involved in up to that point. And she said, look, you know, our lifestyle needs to be X, Y, and Z, and I need you to help provide that. So he was kind of put on notice that this was really urgent. This was no longer a nice to have. This was no longer an experiment. This really had to happen. And she was calling him to the carpet. And again, get a job, do whatever you've got to do, but it's got to happen. And he says, I've got to go all in because the stakes are so high. I can't afford to continue doing what I've been doing, because what I've been doing has gotten me to where I am right now, to having that conversation that took place 4 hours before. So again, you can't continue to do the things you've always been doing and expect different results. You've got to masterfully and strategically tweak the machine and start concentrating on the right things at the right work, the right time, and the right diligence. Because quite honestly, if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're idiots to think we're going to get different results. So, you know, that was a very poignant conversation. I remember it very clearly. And he's well on his way to fulfilling that promise, by the way, and has done very well for himself since. So. Well, and I think they were also, not to dramatize this beyond the truth, were they using the D word? They were. It was discussed. I mean, it wasn't a right. Yeah, it wasn't divorce. What was going to happen. There was that we're going to have to be thinking about this in different ways. And yes, the D word was used, unfortunately. Right. So, honey, either you start getting serious, you start getting some help, you start turning the ship around, or I'm going to divorce your ass. And that's it. And not quite in those terms. I'm making light of it now, obviously. But that's a perfect lead-in, Teresa, to our point number 7. When your spouse turns to you and says, honey, how much longer are you going to put up with this? How much longer are you happy to be undercharging and under-earning and not earning what you deserve? And it's funny because sometimes we'll get on a strategy call with a speaker or a consultant or a coach and their spouse. And the spouse is often a bigger advocate than our prospective client, saying, she needs this or he needs this. He's a brilliant consultant and we can no longer put up with him not being successful. He is a fantastic speaker and he deserves to have that dream of his business being successful finally fulfilled. And so the question is, that's right, how much longer? How much longer are you willing to wait? How much longer are you willing to be underpaid? How much longer are you willing to be treading water? Where else does this how much longer question come into play? I mean, I know Vanessa's asked me how much longer. I'm sure Terry has asked you in your previous businesses, how much longer. That's a tough discussion to have. How do you handle it? It is a tough discussion to have. And again, I think it has to do with casting the vision. And we've talked a lot about that today in regards to bringing them into the conversation. And I wish there were a better answer than it's going to take the time that it takes. And again, the evidence of my actions should be enough to see that I'm doing everything I can in my power to move things forward. Now, I have had to say at times, look, if this doesn't happen by X date, if I haven't earned X amount of money, or if I haven't gotten this many clients, whatever that lever is, I have said I will go get a part-time job, or I will make sure that this is done. And then holding true on your promises. But I will tell you, from the standpoint of an entrepreneur, there's nothing better than a deadline. If you know you have a deadline and you've made a promise, there's something about the level of activity and urgency that increases, because you know what's on the other side of not doing anything. And so I think, again, it's that conversation with the spouse to say, here's what I need to do. Here's the timeline I see it happening. If it doesn't happen, this is what I'm willing to do. Or if it does happen, here's what I'm going to continue to do. And again, it's accountability. I think it's accountability to their fears and putting their minds at ease in order to buy the time to really get the success. Now, it isn't about sitting on your thumbs and waiting for the success. It's about taking proactive, strategic actions to make sure that that is tangible and you're seeing your own outcomes as well as showing them. So, yeah. Did we change the number 7 on the bottom?
It says how much longer is what we're doing. Number 7 is how much longer. Mine says
invested in crap. It's okay. Good enough.
So
yeah,
yeah. What do you see now?
I still see invested in crap, but it could be just a tech issue. No worries.
Oh, okay.
Not a big deal.
So number 8 is I work really, really hard. How about you? I work like what are you doing all day long? Now this also flips into one of our clients, who shall go remain nameless. She says, "Man, I'm putting in 30 hours a week in here. I'm putting in 30." Well, that's funny, because your husband, who's a nuclear engineer, he's putting in 40 hours a week, and you're complaining about 30? Like, hello, this is your job. This is your revenue generating activity. This is your work. This is what you get paid, right? Larry Wingen has a lot of great books. One of my favorite titles is, it's called Work for a Reason. It is called Work for a Reason. So, is this work? Sure. So when your spouse turns to you and says, "Honey, I come home at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I've put in a long day. I bring home a paycheck. I have benefits. What the hell are you doing?" How do we handle that from an ego and a self-respect and a self-esteem perspective? How do we recover from that?
Well, I think you actually have to articulate and actuate your actions. Like, what did you do today? Because it's not a really unfair question for a spouse to come home and say, "What did you do all day?" If you're pontificating on the phone with non-revenue producing activity, you're on Facebook, you're doing your thing, you're watching videos, you're doing all this busy work. If you can't articulate and actuate that thing that you did and that moved the needle, then your spouse has every right to say, "What the heck are you doing?" because you're sitting on the computer all day. My husband has come home and asked that question many times, and he has a very physical job. So of course his body is tired by the time he gets home, and I'm ready to go. I'm chipper and all sunshine and flowers. And he's like, "Man, are you not working?" And so I've had to say, "Well, here's what I worked on today. Here's what I did. And here's how I moved the needle." And again, I think I love this conversation, because as I'm sitting here listening to this, what's coming up for me is the fact that in actuality, our spouses are great mirrors to keep us accountable to, if we take the opportunity to look at ourselves a little closer, to actually say, what are we doing? Am I really doing the work? Am I really making smart decisions? Am I really getting the help that I need, so I have insights that I'm doing the right work in the right order at the right time? And I think, it's interesting, like I said, because sometimes we take it as an adversarial question, like, "Well, what did you do today?" As opposed to, "Well, let me take this opportunity to really ask myself what I did today. Did I do all that I could today to move this business forward?" If that answer is no, I get to start over and take another swack at it tomorrow. I get to do something different. I get to take more proactive action. I get to have better conversations. I get to reach out for the help that I need and get the insights that I need, so I can make better, smarter, more strategic decisions. So that's interesting, because I didn't really think about that till just now, but I think I've always taken it from my husband, even though he supports me. It's kind of this, "Well, what do you mean, what did I do? So I think it's a great opportunity for a little self-evaluation when those questions come up.
Absolutely right.
Has your lovely hot one ever come home and said, what did you do today?
Well, sure. But you know what? Like you, I think this question is completely legitimate. Mm-hmm. Where we get uncomfortable answering it is when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
That's right. That's right.
When we're, oh no, honey, I tweeted 17 times today. No, I put out a blog today. Oh, I worked on that blog. That blog was awesome. You know what I did? I sent out an email newsletter with some really valuable articles, and maybe someone will hire me. Maybe, ever, once, maybe, possibly. Right? Honey, here's the question. It's not about what did you do today. What did you do today is a partial question. The question that every spouse should be asking every entrepreneurial expert is, what did you do today to make money? Mm-hmm. What did you do today, ... Not busy work, not BS. Oh, I folded brochures. No. What did you do today to make some freaking money? As soon as you start, if your spouse asks you that question every night at 6 p.m., honey, what'd you do today to make money? We would have a very healthy entrepreneurial expert community. The fact that your spouse is not asking you the hardest question of all, which is, honey, what did you do today to make money? Right? And Wendy's here. She says, MMA, baby.
MMA.
Money-making activity. Wendy knows what we're talking about. She's an alumni of our program. So MMA, not mixed martial arts. But honey, what did you do to ring the cash register today? What did you do to build our bank account today? What did you do to go get a check today? Because I got a check. I went into the office, right? I did 8 hours of work. I'm coming home with a paycheck. I'm coming home with benefits. I'm coming home with a bonus plan. I'm coming home with stock options. Terrific. What did you do today to bring a check in the door? You'd have most of our clients, before they work with us, that list would be pretty short. After they work with us, that list is pretty healthy, and they would have no problem whatsoever answering this question number 8. I work hard. How about you? What did you do today? All right, last one, and then we're going to wrap this up. And this one, I saved the most painful one for last. This is going to hurt. It's going to hurt me even to reflect back on when I was asked this question. It's not even a question. Here's how painful it is. It's when your spouse starts to just shake his or her head and says, sweetie, honey, baby, I'm just not seeing it. You're working hard. You're working your brains out. I get it that this is your dream. I get it that this is what you want. I'm just not seeing it. So when a spouse says, I'm just not seeing it, Teresa, where are they not seeing it, do you suppose?
Well, definitely they're not, I would suspect, not in the bank account, not in the checkbook, and at bill paying time, sitting down going, I'm not seeing it. We gotta do something about this. I would say activity. Where's the money making activities? Where am I seeing it? And where's that success that you talked about? Where is that vision? Where is that thing you said we were going to be experiencing by now that we haven't? And where is it at? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the story come to life that you told me about this endeavor that you're in, the speaking thing. So, and again, I'm very lucky, very fortunate. I need to count my blessings right now. While my husband has absolutely shook his head many times at me for lots of different reasons. This is one of them for sure. But I'm very lucky that he allows me just to continue working diligently, working hard. And again, it's all about communication, right? I mean, I feel like we're doing a little bit of relationship 101 here, but it does come down to communication. And here's where you should be seeing it. Because, here's the thing too with our spouses. They're not a part of this world. They're not this world we live in of speaking and coaching and training and consulting. they aren't a part of, they don't understand the nuances of the industry. And so sometimes you have to point these things out and demonstrate them in other ways and say, well, here's what you should be seeing. Here's the bar, and here's where I am in relationship to that bar. Here's where I'm working towards. And you have to give them some perspective, because quite honestly, they're right. They aren't seeing it because they don't understand it. So I think to do a really good job of really illuminating what it is what it means to be in this industry, and what are the possibilities out there in the marketplace that are already going on, and where should you be. That's a decision you have to make in relationship to your relationship. Where should you be at what timeline, and communicate that, educate them, show them, have them talk to other speakers. I know that I've had Terry's talk to several other speakers and have conversations about what should I be expecting, as a spouse watching my wife do this. What should I be expecting? And so I think you have to show them. I think you have to bring up some evidence of what is possible, not just in your own brain, but what's actually happening in the marketplace. So I think that the shaking of the head is not always a good thing. Sometimes, though, it's just an opportunity, again, to have another good conversation about what's possible.
Right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Absolutely. Well, so let's recap. And I think you're right that for some reason these titles might have been frozen on number 6, and no one's seen all this other great stuff that I'm clicking on and clicking off, and Wendy's comment and Sarah's comment and Steve's comment. So I'm not sure if any of that actually worked. Let's see if we can recap. So here's what we're talking about today is, does your spouse support your business? Because that is the number one factor in your success. We talked about number 1 is risk. Right. And it's 2 things, actually, Teresa, because you brought this up. It's the actual risk and the perceived risk. If the results are there, the risk is mitigated. Right. If there's in the vacuum of results, oh, I don't know if this will work. This is risky. This is scary. Well, if you're in a boat and the boat is kind of bobbing on the ocean, that's risky and scary. If you have a motor in the boat and it's going on a trajectory that you want to end up at your destination, that's not risky. I mean, there's still weather, there's still sharks, I guess, but all things being equal, you have an increased sense of confidence that risk is low and that the benefit is going to be high. Number 2 is fear. You want to recap fear?
Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of what if it doesn't work out this time. It manifests in several different ways. Getting involved in the wrong activity just for the sake of calling it activity, all the way to not doing anything and sitting in a state of paralyzation. So afraid to take any steps forward or moving forward. So fear is a lot of different things. And again, fear for you and fear for your spouse, fear for the relationship. It plays a really ugly role in the world of an entrepreneur, for sure. And the other thing too, fear will never go away, by the way. Fear is never going to be negated. It's not going to be just disappear. There will always be a level of fear. The trick, or the discipline that I think we as entrepreneurs have to embrace, is the ability to do it anyway, live with it, acknowledge it, and move through it, and get to the other side of whatever we thought it was that we were afraid of to begin with. So I think to expect that fear will just go away and never be present is unrealistic, but you've got to be able to act in spite of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then number 3, of course, was can you do it? So the capability, competency, do you have the skills? Do you have the techniques? Do you have the strategies to be successful? We talked about what's going to be different this time. And your best answer is you, right? I'm different this time. I've evolved. I've grown. I've done some things differently. Number 5, Teresa, you want to take a quick summary of maybe keep this as a hobby? Keep it as a hobby.
Yeah. If you want to keep this as a hobby, you certainly can. There's no shame in doing it for free if you want to do it for a hobby, but expect that you're going to be held accountable for a business once you decide you are a professional. When you are a professional, you are getting paid. And if it's not a negotiable and you need to be in the world as a coach, as a thought leader, as a consultant, then get paid, be a professional, and don't keep it as a hobby. And again, lots of opportunities to speak for free if you want to stay broke. That's the unfortunate news.
Exactly. And then let's take number 6, because I think the title for number 6 was stuck on the screen this whole time. I've invested in crap before. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, again, earlier we said you're different. I've invested in crap before, and maybe we're different this time around. maybe we're going to get into this and I'm going to involve you in that decision. And quite honestly, it will be different because we're going to have brought our expertise from before, our mistakes that we learned from, and now you and I are going to go forward together with this. So invested in crap before? Yes, I have. And we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it together this time.
Right. We're doing it better, faster, smarter, and collaboratively. And then the how much longer question, like how much longer until you get successful? How much longer until you make some money? How much longer until you can replace your salary or your old salary? Like, oh, I used to make $150,000 and I've never made $150,000 as a speaker. How much longer until you make at least as much as you were making in your old day job? I work hard. How about you? Stop watching Oprah, get off the sofa, stop eating bonbons. And then the most painful one, which we're not going to revisit because it's too painful. Honey, I'm just not seeing it. Sweetie, you're awesome, but I don't think this is going to happen for you. So if you want to have way better answers to all of these questions and statements and tough love conversations at home, I would encourage you, book a call with our team and let's see how we can help you when you go over to doitmarketing.com/apply.
And don't be shy. Bring your spouse. Let's do a conference call. Let's get the two of you on the phone and have a conversation about what this would look like if it were done with proactive activity and the actual daily activities that you can account for. And the two of you, let's do it collaboratively. Let's get him on board or her on board, whichever it's right for you, and bring them to the call. Let's have a conversation. You might find, like David mentioned earlier, that your spouse is actually your biggest advocate when there's real answers and real insights that can make that trajectory a little different than it's been in the past. So
that's it.
Bring them along.
All right. Teresa French, as always, another great show. Another opening.
David Newman.
Another show.
Amazing. Thank you for letting me spend the afternoon with you and our amazing group. It's been a pleasure and can't wait to speak with you guys on the backside.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.